But the road has gotten tougher for Phoenix. Their point guard, Kevin Johnson, is injured and will likely miss the start of the playoffs. Is this the end for the Piston bad boys? Well, the insiders will share their thoughts on that and other topics next on Showtime.
This is NBA Showtime with your host, Bob Costas.
And this is the America West Arena in Phoenix. Today, the Suns host the San Antonio Spurs before another sellout crowd of better than 19,000. Phoenix will finish the regular season with the best record in the league, and with it comes home court advantage throughout the NBA playoffs. Hello, everybody. I'm Bob Costas for the vacationing Hannah Storm, who inexplicably steps aside just as the playoffs loom. This, of course, is Mike Fratello, reunited with Marv Albert tomorrow at the Garden here in New York for the Bulls game against the Knicks, which suddenly is meaningless. Quinn Buckner is still celebrating the Mavs win last night, which ensured them of not having the worst record in league history. We'll hear from Quinn later. I guess that takes care of everybody's whereabouts, except for yours. Well, here you are.
This is such a pleasure, treat to sit next to someone like you rather than you-know-who, my good buddy, Marvelous.
So you're treating me with the same regard that you generally reserve for Marv, the same disdain.
A much different regard, believe me.
Well, we'll work that out later. As we alluded to earlier, Kevin Johnson's health is a big concern for the Phoenix Suns. For that story, let's go to the America West Arena and join Dick Enberg and Magic Johnson. Dick?
All right, Bob, welcome back. And Phoenix was welcome back from an incredible victory 2 days ago. Up in Portland, most unlikely, a half second to go. The joy, the celebration when that carom pass by Kevin Johnson to Barkley, and how did he get it in a half a second? And then the celebration. The good news, the victory for the winningest team in the NBA. The bad news is the result of the celebration after. Watch out when Barkley comes after you, even if you're a teammate, Kevin Johnson.
Well, sometimes celebration can be costly. And when you got a 250-some-pound man running at you, you got to watch it. Here it comes right here. Now watch this. It's going to be knee on knee. Ouch, right there. And it's costing the Phoenix Suns Kevin Johnson for what, 2 weeks?
The report is it's a sprained ligament, not a tear, but Johnson will be out from 10 days to 2 weeks. Undoubtedly will miss the Lakers series, but it's more serious than that, isn't it?
Well, it's more serious because Kevin Johnson throughout this playoff will not be healthy. Even when he comes back, he will not be the same Kevin Johnson.
So, Bob Costas, when you celebrate your return to New York today and run to celebrate with Fratello, make sure you jump in his arms. Don't let him hit you first.
Exactly.
Well, wait a minute, though. He and I are roughly the same size. We don't have the disparity to worry about that Johnson faced when going up against Barkley. All the playoff matchups are set in the West, but in the East, there's still a few things to be determined. The key game last night was in Charlotte between the Hornets and the Bulls. Chicago needed a win to stay in contention with the Knicks for the best record in the conference. Fourth quarter, Michael Jordan drives the lane and slams down two of his game-high 38. That tied it at 93. Now with under a minute remaining, a spectacular move by Larry Johnson. Tosses it up and in, and he was fouled. The three-point play gave Charlotte a 102-101 lead. The Bulls then naturally turn to Jordan. He'll go baseline and hit the jumper with 17 seconds left. Chicago by 103-102. The Hornets called 2 timeouts, and then they called a play for Johnson. He's double-teamed, and he'll be fouled by Darrell Walker. Walker disputed the call, but Johnson went to the line, hit 2, and Charlotte was up by 1. The Bulls still had one last chance, just over 2 seconds left, but Scottie Pippen's inbound intended for Jordan was stolen by Del Curry, and the celebration was on in Charlotte.
The Bulls will not be Eastern Conference. Going into the playoffs, we just beat the world champs. I mean, I'm happy, man. I'm really happy.
Unfortunately, we were not able to get the Eastern Conference best record, but, we still got a game to play, and, we can certainly illustrate that the home court advantage doesn't really mean much if we can go in and win in New York tomorrow.
In Philly, a banged-up Patrick Ewing played 37 minutes against the Sixers, even though because of tiebreakers, a Knick win or loss in this game would have no bearing on their battle for first in the East. Ewing, though, scored 26 points and pulled down 24 boards as the Knicks beat the Sixers by 15. Just before they left the Spectrum, the Bullets-Hornets game ended, and the Knicks got the good news.
We're winning it.
Yes! It was a long, rough season, and we worked very hard. And where it stands now, us having home court advantage, we deserve every bit of it. This team, we just work so hard. We're blessed to have this opportunity.
So now the top 4 spots are locked up in the East. The Knicks have home court advantage throughout the Eastern Conference playoffs, but perhaps of more significance, the Bulls could be headed for a very demanding second-round series with Cleveland before they would even meet the Knicks in the conference finals. Now we move to the bottom of the Eastern Conference, where virtually nothing is settled. The struggle for the one remaining playoff spot in the East has come down to Indiana, Orlando, and Detroit. Last night, the Pistons were at home against the Pacers. The Bad Boys knew that a loss would keep them out of the postseason for the first time in 10 years. Joe Dumars behind the back here to Dennis Rodman, who'll feed Bill Laimbeer for 2 of his season-high 24. And for a while, it seemed like old times at the Palace. Laimbeer with a return pass to Isaiah, who scored 9 of his 20 in the fourth. The three-pointer here. Pistons over the Pacers, keeping Detroit's exceedingly slim playoff hopes alive. Shaquille O'Neal flexing his muscles at the Meadowlands before the game, and then again during it, pulling down the backboard for the second time in his rookie season and whacked on the dome by the 24-second clock. The first quarter resumed 46 minutes later, and for one, Nick Anderson was happy they did resume because he poured in a franchise record 50 points. The Magic over the Nets, and after the game, Shaq was asked if the backboard hurt any.
Hurt a little bit. Not that much though. Got a hard head.
What was your reaction just at the time that it happened there, though, when you saw that?
I was like, damn, this kid is strong.
Yes, at the Omni in Atlanta, beautiful pass by Steve Henson to rookie Adam Keefe, who scored a season-high 30 on 12 of 13 from the floor. The Hawks over the Bucks by 16. Okay, pay attention here. New Jersey, Atlanta, and Charlotte all have the same record with 1 game remaining. Charlotte could clinch the 5th spot with a win tonight at Milwaukee and an Atlanta loss at Orlando. New Jersey's game tomorrow wouldn't matter because the Hornets hold the tiebreaker over the Nets. In the battle for the 8th spot, Indiana has the tiebreaker on Orlando. Indiana needs either a win tonight over Miami at Market Square Arena or an Orlando loss to Atlanta. Orlando has to win and hope that Indiana loses. And Detroit gets in only if they beat New Jersey tomorrow and both Indiana and Orlando lose tonight. By the way, a key piece of news we've just received. Miami center Ronnie Cycli did not make the trip to Indiana for tonight's game due to back spasms, so you have to like the Pacers' chances of clinching at Market Square tonight. As we said earlier, very little was at stake in the Western Conference as they played out the last weekend of the regular season, but for the Dallas Mavericks, there was a chance to avoid a very dubious distinction. The NBA's worst regular season record was the 9-73 mark put up by the 76ers back in 72-73. Dallas entered last night's home game against Minnesota with a record of 9-71. Why is this man smiling? He's Dallas interim coach Gar Hurd. Maybe he's just smiling because he's interim. Well, in any case, rookie Jimmy Jackson had 32 points, the best for him this year, helping the Mavs to remove that proverbial monkey from their backs. Minnesota had a chance to tie the game in the final seconds, but they didn't do it, and the Mavs win their 10th game of the season, averting NBA infamy. Marlon Wiley celebrates, as does veteran Derek Harper, in front of a sellout crowd.
Really played like they wanted to win tonight, and I'm really proud of them. And it took a monkey off my back, but it also took a monkey off their back.
Now, I don't know if this helps Quinn Buckner. If he comes in next year, suppose they have the worst record in history. Then if they even win 20 next year, he can say, hey, took them from the worst record in history to 20 wins, right?
How about Ron Harper saying that, next year they'll be much improved. They could win as many as 15. Not a real endorsement for Quinn.
How about the call at the end of the Charlotte-Chicago game? Darrell Walker felt that he had not fouled Larry Johnson. The game's on the line, playoff positioning on the line. Was that a kind of a cheap call?
No, the official made a correct call. The replay showed that he did grab Larry Johnson on the wrist, and the integrity of the officials are at stake here. You're not asking an official to read the newspapers and look ahead to what might be a great game on the final day of the regular season. You make the call at that moment.
Okay, and as we head to a break, a look at the first-round playoff matchups as things stand right now in the Eastern Conference. In the West, these matchups will not change. The Suns went 5-0 against the Lakers this year. Houston was 4-0 against the Clippers. Up next, the Insiders. Peter Bessie and Bill Walton join us with notes and opinions from around the league, including some thoughts on the Detroit Pistons. Is this the last we'll see of the Bad Boys? Showtime continues right after these messages. Tello's way as he gets to join the esteemed Insiders Bill Walton and Peter Bessie for this segment. Bessie fresh back off his European sojourn. Welcome back to our shores. Let's begin with the Pistons. Almost certain that they will not be in the playoffs. They are obviously not the team they once were. That's been clear for quite a while. Is a wholesale breakup about to happen?
I believe it will, and the first one to go is the coach, Ronnie Rothstein. Either Monday or Tuesday it'll be announced that he will be fired. The team is going to eat 3 the remaining years in his contract. We're talking about $1.5 million.
What if they make the playoffs?
Well, if they make the playoffs, he'll be fired the day after they're eliminated from the playoffs.
I think the biggest problem in Detroit is that they broke up that great team while they were still on top. They tried to tinker a little bit too much. Fabulous front line. They got rid of Mahorn, James Edwards, Vinnie Johnson in the backcourt with no substitutes right there. I believe that Dennis Rodman will be gone. He's worn out his welcome there. To me, the big question in Detroit is, what does Isaiah Thomas do? Does he force his hand and make the Pistons trade him to a contending team? Mike, you're close with Detroit. What do you see there?
Close with Detroit, just to clear it up, because you do the Pistons games as one of their analysts.
Thank you for clearing that up.
That's my function here. Continue.
Isaiah Thomas has said in the past that if it were in the best interest of the Piston organization, he would not have a problem being traded to another team. However, I find it real hard to visualize Isaiah wearing any other uniform than a Piston, because down the road, I see him moving into either a management, front office, or even part ownership position in the Piston organization. So I don't think he's going anywhere.
I agree with that, but before I get into it, Mahorn, they had no choice. He was on the expansion. They had to get rid of somebody that year, so they had to let Ricky go. That was the day they won the he had the parade after the championship. As far as Isaiah goes, I do think he'll be there as long as he's very good friends with the owner, Bill Davidson, so you know he's got a career after there in management. But management has said if for any reason he wants to go, Lambier or Dumars, that they would take care of them, because for everything that they've done for the franchise. Joe told me during the All-Star break that he would probably ask to be traded after this season. He feels that this team is in transition. By the time they get good again, he'll be too old, and he's in his prime right now. He's a major league asset for this team to trade.
Assuming you're right and Rothstein doesn't survive, who gets his job?
Well, everybody says it's Don Chaney, but it's not a given. He's the assistant there right now. He's the leading candidate, but it's not definite.
All right, let's talk about some of the teams that are crippled by injuries, at least in the early stages of the upcoming playoffs. We mentioned Kevin Johnson's situation in the first segment. He'll be out likely for the first round of the playoffs. Suns probably can get past that point without him. How well can Houston do without Vernon Maxwell?
Vernon Maxwell is currently wearing a cast from the end of his thumb up to above his elbow. He's running a major risk if he tries to play on a very serious injury, similar to Kenny Anderson, the navicular fracture. They're going to take that cast off the first week of May, give him an MRI. If there's healing, I don't look for Vernon Maxwell to come back and play this year. If there's no healing, he's going to come back and give it a shot.
That sounds strange. If there's no healing, you're just saying if he can get through the pain.
I've got non-union naviculars in each of my hands. They give me a lot of trouble, but I don't run on my hands. It's his left hand as well. I don't think you could do that with your right hand as a guard.
Did you hurt yours punching your teammates like Maxwell probably hurt his?
You hurt them when you fall down and they pop back and the bone breaks. It's never the same again.
What about Clyde Drexler and the Trailblazers?
I talked to Clyde last night. He's had 3 hamstring injuries in the last 2 months. Big problems there. He wants to play. He's a serious competitor. He'll do whatever it takes, but he's not right. And he's going to sit out for a while. As soon as it feels good, he'll give it a shot, but he will take that chance.
You have any guess as to how long a while is?
I think he'll miss the entire first round against San Antonio, a series they can easily win.
I think the only definite thing there is that Clyde will come back too soon, because he is such a competitor, and then he'll get hurt again, and that's it for him.
The Cavaliers are always described as a team that has a good chance to go all the way if they can stay healthy through the playoffs, and now Larry Nance is hurt.
Larry Nance is hurt. His index finger on his left hand, his non-shooting hand, is broken from this part up, 80%. We're talking about Mark Price, too. I mean, he's had ligament damage in his right thumb, which has been very quiet. Nobody's really talked about the problem there, but he's wearing a cast, Mike. What's going on with him?
The most notable thing in watching the Cavaliers now, Price with this cast on the thumb, or brace actually on the thumb, has been reluctant to pull the trigger on his shot. It used to be he came off screens, it was up right away. It caused a lot of problems for the defense. Now he's more of a penetrating guard, try to create things for his teammates, and then if there is an open shot, obviously he'll take it, and then he does knock most of them down, by the way.
All right, time for us to take our leave for just a moment. But coming up, we'll talk about the Suns' Dan Marley, the former Central Michigan Chippewas, become an NBA All-Star in Phoenix. Showtime continues right after these messages.
NBA Showtime is brought
to basketball factory, Central Michigan. Marley's Suns own the best record in the league at 61-19. In many ways, that's easy to attribute in terms of all of it, this turnaround, easy to attribute it to the arrival of Charles Barkley. But the supporting cast is terrific, and Dan Marley is one of the biggest reasons. He's having his best season in the NBA, making the All-Star team for the second straight year. Not bad for a small-town kid who grew up wanting to play hockey. Quinn Buckner has the rest of the story.
The first time they heard his name, they booed.
We are very happy to select Dan Marley. I cannot help how you feel. All I can tell you is this. I think you people will be sorry that you ever booed this young man.
It looks like Cotton was right after all.
Pippen almost lost it. Marley steals the ball.
In his 5th NBA season, Dan Marley has arrived as a bona fide NBA All-Star. His hustle and tireless work ethic has made him a fan favorite in Phoenix and helped the Suns storm to the league's best record.
I've always had to prove to people that I belong, and then I had to prove I can make it in the NBA, and I try to prove it every year that I still belong here.
One of the bright young stars of the Phoenix Suns, Dan Marley.
A 2-time All-Star, Marley has shown that he indeed belongs. Yet he continues to work hard, improving each season on a different element of his game. This year, he's become a good three-point shooter.
I think it's always been in me, definitely. I've always wanted to shoot it. Coach Westphal has done a fantastic job of giving us the green light to shoot him, and that makes a big difference.
Dan Marley's unbelievably important to our success. When you have enough players that compete like he does, the shooting percentages and all that stuff, assists, all that stuff pretty much goes out the window. You don't measure Dan by stats, you measure him by grit.
I think it's just my work ethic, the way I play basketball. They see me out there working hard every night, giving 100%, and I think fans can really relate to that. Small-town guy who just comes to play hard every night.
Marley credits his parents for his work ethic. He grew up with 2 brothers in Traverse City, Michigan, keeping active in a variety of sports. He attended Central Michigan University, where his relentless style and power dunks earned him the nickname Thunder.
We just saw a guy who was really tough, who didn't back down from anything. And to be able to get a guy like that and add him to your team, you can really never go wrong.
But life in the NBA is not always easy. Marley's had to deal with several major setbacks, including delicate back surgery in 1991 to remove a benign cyst near his spine.
And I'm just the type of player who just don't let setbacks get me down at all. You know, I just love playing basketball, and I think the love of playing the game has kept me going. And I'm not that good of a player where I can go out and just coast. I just keep working and working hard.
Marley's motto has translated into success off the court as well. He's seemingly everywhere in Phoenix. And local businesses all want to steal some of his thunder.
I don't know. Hi, welcome to Marley's.
In Phoenix, he even has a hand in where you eat. He is also very active in the community, volunteering his time to various charities and other organizations.
Sure, sign your shorts, your mom's not getting mad at me?
No, no.
Sure? What I try to do is just get out and meet as many people as I can and be visible out in the community. The satisfaction of helping people, I think, is important. And anything I can do to do that, I'm happy to do.
Dan Marley's NBA dream has become a reality. Despite his successes, he's not about to stop now.
I still think I have a lot to prove to people. I still don't think there's a lot of believers yet.
All right, Quinn is back. Gotten over the celebration from last night's Dallas win?
Yes, sir. Very much so.
10 wins, something to build on for next year.
Looking forward to it.
From a coach's perspective, what's the most distinguishing aspect of Dan Marley's game?
Well, on your march to a championship, you need a number of different pieces. You need a superstar, a big scorer, rebounder, shot blocker, team defense, but you need work ethic, and I think he sets the tone for this team as far as going out every day, giving of his body. You can play him at the 2 spot, you can play him at the small forward position, and now by increasing his range, it gives him one more weapon in their offensive arsenal. So he is that certain piece you look for.
Quinn, the Suns were already a good team. Barkley has taken them to a different level, but we can't forget they were a good team already.
I don't think there's any question about that, but what you get with Marley, you get that overachieving attitude, and everybody kind of feeds off of the fact this guy dies for loose ball. So that added ingredient, I think, makes them a definite contender for the championship.
All right, now, coming up, Marley's Suns against the Spurs. Dick Enberg and Magic Johnson have the call of that one, and we'll see you from New York at halftime.
Basketball is governed by it, and by it, success is measured. Time has been an ally of Phoenix this season, the most successful in franchise history. Indeed, the Suns and their leader, Sir Charles, seem to flourish when time runs short, including Thursday's miracle game-winning finish.
Barkley puts it up. Does it count? It does. Jacob Butler said it counted. Final center, it's good. Oh my goodness.
While Phoenix has gathered momentum, time has been less kind to San Antonio. Just 2 months ago, the San Antonio Spurs were the toast of the NBA, riding the inspirational wave supplied by rookie coach John Lucas, seemingly invincible at the All-Star break. But lately, frustration and defeat have supplanted what once appeared to be so promising a season. Now, on the eve of the playoffs, David Robinson and the Spurs hope to revitalize the spark before time runs out.
This is the NBA on NBC. Today, it's the San Antonio Spurs versus the Phoenix Suns.
The beautiful new America West Arena in Phoenix, Arizona. The Phoenix Suns' best record in the NBA, and these folks are talking NBA title. The lineup is set for the playoffs beginning next Thursday in Phoenix. We'll open against the Lakers in the best 3 of 5, and Portland will meet San Antonio in the bottom half. Houston and the Clippers, Seattle and Utah. The West lineup is ready. Hello, everyone. Dick Enberg with Magic Johnson. Time running out in the regular season, but time for 2 of your dream teamers to prove something this weekend in somewhat meaningless games. So you take their role. You're David Robinson. Stand up taller here. You're David Robinson. What does this game mean to you?
Well, talking to Coach John Lucas, what he wants to do is make sure that David Robinson does not get hurt in these last 2 games. He wants him to work on his timing, his defense, but please, big fella, don't get hurt.
Excuse me, I'll step out now because you're Charles Barkley.
Well, Charles, what they want to do, Charles has missed the last 5 or 6 games being hurt. He came back Thursday, played well, and he wants to get his timing together going into the playoffs.
And we talked to both of them. They're ready to play hard no matter how many minutes they get today. And with more on a big story here in Phoenix, the condition of starting point guard Kevin Johnson, let's go to Dan Hicks.
All right, thank you very much, Dick. Kevin Johnson was indeed the last Phoenix Sun to arrive to the arena today. Injured left knee in the celebration of the victory over Portland on Thursday night. He told me he is emotionally up for this game because he's been injured for most of the year, so he's had to deal with it. Plus, he says he hopes to be back before the 2-week prognostication that the doctors think it'll need to get back. If he does get back in 2 weeks, it should be Game 5 of the Lakers series in the playoffs, and he hopes the Suns dispose of the Lakers before that anyway. Getting the start for Kevin Johnson today, Miguel Knight, and we also have been told that Danny Ainge will get some time at the point guard position as well today. Dick?
All right, Dan, the scorebook will be full. If you like scoring, you're in the right place. The NBA's leading scoring team, Phoenix. The the Dandy Dans, Marley and Phoenix, Arizona on a sunny Sunday afternoon. The Suns and Spurs, here are the starting lineups. The visitors from San Antonio, Avery Johnson, and the all-time three-point shooter, Dale Ellis in the backcourt. Antoine Carr, his 54% field goal percentage places him in the top 10 in the league. Sean Elliott, an all-star again this year. And in the post, the Admiral, actually a lieutenant, he corrected us, David Robinson leads in rebounds and scoring and block shots and steals. And the coach in his first year, John Lucas, off to a ripping start. The former Houston Rocket, 18-1 after replacing Jerry Tarkanian, but 20 and 20 cents. So as we talked to him last week, he laughs and cries almost in the same sentence. For Phoenix, replacing Kevin Johnson in the backcourt, Nigel Knight. Dan Marley loves the three. Charles Barkley. His presence felt throughout the city. His return, immediate satisfaction, 25 and the miracle shot in Portland. Cedric Ceballos has had a top season, one of the best field goal shooters in the league, and Mark West is there to defend, there to rebound. Paul Westphal, he played here 5 years, a 5-time NBA All-Star. In his first year, the winningest rookie coach in NBA history. He goes for win number 62 today.
Well, I think the fans can look for, you got three of the best three-point shooters in the game today. Two on Phoenix side and one on the other side with San Antonio being Dale Ellis, Dan Marley, and Danny Ainge. So look for a lot of threes today.
There's Ellis, veteran from Tennessee. Spurs in black and the home whites of Phoenix. Sean Elliott as San Antonio gets the first chance. Carr against Barkley. Antoine with the jump hook. One of the most underrated players in the league, Antoine Carr.
He's very underrated. He can go inside, he can go outside, and he's also a good rebounder too.
Into Barkley. Westphal hinted that Barkley will handle it more with Johnson out of the lineup. Nigel Knight to the hole. Carr comes up with a loose ball. Avery Johnson ahead to Dale Ellis. Over Marley for a 4-0 San Antonio lead.
Well, credit David Robinson with that fast break because he made Nigel Knight change his shot, and he started it off.
Robinson with a rebound. Elliott waits for David Robinson to come into the picture. Carr against the shorter Barkley. Barkley with a rebound.
It seems like San Antonio is going to try to make Charles play defense this afternoon.
Great pass by Barkley, but unable to come up with it cleanly is Nigel Knight. Ceballos unsuccessful, and Robinson with another rebound. 4-0 San Antonio. Marley with the deflection. It goes to Barkley. 3-on-2. Sir Charles rejected by David Robinson and controlled by Ellis.
Get it out of there, Charles. Don't come down the lane. David Robinson, that's his game, defense.
And Robinson at the other end gives the Spurs a 6-0 lead.
Well, it seems like to me, Dick, right here is that Phoenix is playing like a team that don't need this victory, and San Antonio is playing like a team that really wants this victory.
Dan Marley. And the whistle, and it's going to go against Marley on the charge. Carr head position.
Well, Charles Barkley's coming here, and usually Charles can take any guy off the dribble but David Robinson. He's the best defensive center. Charles told us that earlier today.
Look at it. He gets the hesitation, and Robinson gets up there and stays. He didn't push the button to go down on the elevator.
David Robinson is the best defensive center probably since Bill Russell.
Hakeem Olajuwon's listening today. Watch out.
No, he's dominant offensively.
On the side, it's Avery Johnson. And here comes Ceballos. Former Cal State Fullerton star, shooting 57%, best in the league. Barkley. Well, who else should get Phoenix's first points? Stolen by Barkley. He's showing it all in this sequence.
The beautiful difficult decision. That time, he cut the airspace in between himself and David Robinson. He took it right at him and used his body and scored.
Avery Johnson. Robinson can't follow. Sabalas to Barkley. Loses the handle, gets it back. Watch out for those shoulders, say the Phoenix fans.
Yes, look at Salvo all on the floor. Great hustle.
Fans love that.
Here's the hustle right here. And Charles Barkley said he wants a championship, and he's proven it right there on that play.
3 minutes gone. San Antonio 6-4. Good feed by Johnson in midair to Carr. Pulled down by Sabalas. 3 rebounds for him. Marley for the 3. Phoenix takes the lead. They have just shot that 3 all season long. Marley, more attempts than anyone in the league. That was his 429th attempt, and he's hit 161 trades. He was 5 for 7 on Thursday at Portland. Danny Ainge shooting over 40%. Marley less successful. But what you have to do with those numbers, you got to take half of it and add. That means that Ainge really is getting 60.8% because 3 for 2.
Well, when you look at Danny Ainge and Dan Marley, they make Charles Barkley that much more effective, and Charles Barkley makes them that more effective because he commands the double team. He kicks it out for them. They just sit behind the three-point line and, hey, knock it down. But I think the thing about Dan Marley is fans should understand, here's a guy who wasn't noted as a shooter when he first came in. He has worked on his game, and he's become a real great three-point shooter now.
He's a star in this city, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Ellis. Dale Ellis reclaims the lead for San Antonio 8-7. He has 4. Robinson was looking. Dale Ellis gets it right back. Elliott over Marley for 3.
Well, of course, Sean Elliott played his college ball right down the street in the University of Arizona, so he's probably looking to play a good game here today.
Grew up in Tucson and attended the University of Arizona.
I wonder how many tickets he had to use today.
We gave 2 of them to Dan Hicks, his buddy at Arizona there.
Another block by the Admiral.
Johnson underneath to Robinson. Had trouble handling the pass, and it's Barkley coming the other way. Little two-fan. Oh, he gets the timeout or a foul. Yes, there was a foul. A late whistle. I think if Phoenix had retained possession, there would not have been a call, but when they lost the ball, Barkley, then he got the penalty.
Well, here comes out the double team. Miguel Knights tries to challenge David Robinson. He says, look, I did it to Charles. I'm going to do it to you, too. Get it out of there.
And, of course, a lot of talk about the 93 MVP in the NBA, and they're the leading candidates. Among them, David Robinson is not, but he has his opinion as to whom should win.
A lot of guys have had the best years I've ever seen him play, and I mean, you've got to say Charles with Phoenix. I mean, he's got to be the leader. I mean, their team has been consistent all year long, and he's been the key to that. He's provided not only great play but leadership. And my favorite. I don't know about everybody else, but then I'd probably have to say Patrick. They've done a great job this year, and I know Patrick's played as well as I've ever seen him play, and he's been would be my top ones. But I mean, I think the team has had a great second half of the year, and what can you say about Michael that hasn't already been said? I mean, they've had their ups and downs this year, but he's the greatest. So they're all right in line.
Well, he waffled a bit and was very diplomatic, but when pinned down, he said, yep, he'd have to vote for Barkley.
Oh, no question. Charles will win it, and Akeem and Patrick would get some votes. And Michael knows he won't win it.
Only because he's won it too much. A lot of people won't vote for him just because he's won. Who is that man flying
Mark West said, okay, Admiral, Antoine Carr, you're going to sit back and wait on me? I'm going to take it to both of you and slam dunk.
Antoine Carr taking it inside against Barkley, and to Robinson it goes. Rebound West. Knight to Sabalas. 13-11 San Antonio.
I think what the fans and probably the Phoenix Suns are wondering, will their running game suffer with Kevin Johnson being out? And as you can see just then, that they still are pushing the ball even with Kevin Johnson injured and on the bench.
Danny Ainge comes in for Dan Marley, so three-point shooter for three-point shooter. You're looking at Kevin Johnson. He's out for 10 to 14 days. You can't see the left knee on that shot, but well bandaged and protected after colliding with Barkley in the celebration 2 nights ago. That's Ellis for his 6th point. A 4-point lead for the Spurs. Barkley for 3. He's made a few of those this year, over 60. Knight, his first points. Miguel Knight will have to give them some good quality time in that Lakers series with KJ on the sidelines.
Well, you know, the thing about it is Miguel Knight has been a starter. Kevin's been out like 32 games this season, so he's used to that role, and he'll do just fine.
Nice little move on Robinson, and now he clears for the 15-footer and ties it up. Miguel Knight back-to-back hoops.
And he's happy, too. He's got those 2 shots in a row going for himself, and now he's ready to play. I think he just wants to use this game to say, okay, I got to get myself ready offensively as well as defensively, so for when I play against the Lakers, I'll be ready.
Barkley with a steal. He just does so many things well. And he's not 6'6", is he?
No, he's not. He's one of the best anticipators in the league as far as on defense. He really anticipates well.
Robinson, West may have gotten a piece of that. Here comes Knight out with Dumas to his right. Dumas, one of the sensational young players this year in the league, Richard Dumas from Oklahoma State.
Well, you're looking at why the Phoenix Suns have the best record in the NBA, because once you take a bad shot or there's a turnover, they have 3 or 4 guys who can get out on the break and finish the break.
John Lucas wants a timeout.
When you're talking about guys who can finish on the break, here's one of the best in the league now. Richard Dumas just finished off an excellent pass by Miguel Knight.
Czar may be in the studio, but Andrew Wyeth is with us in Phoenix.
Well, the key to any fast break is you got to get people to get out and hustle on the wing. That's why Richard Dumas, as he gets out on the break and gets rewarded for his hustle. And Miguel Knight up ahead to Richard and slam dunk. Yes, that's like the old Lakers.
No wonder you're enjoying this game. 11 fast break points now for the Suns. Tom Chambers in for Phoenix. Veteran who has been a big scorer in his playoff career. Elliott takes it to Dumas. Gets it back. 19-17. That ends an 8-0 run by the Phoenix Suns.
Well, the San Antonio Spurs coach John Lucas read the scouting report. One thing about Richard Dumas is the fact that he's not a great defensive player, and they went right at him.
With the left hand, Barkley. He now has 8. Elliott at the other end. Ainge loses it to Elliott. Barkley picks up the loose ball. Can't thread his way through traffic, and it last touched by Avery Johnson.
You know, Charles is at his best when he can get the rebound and dribble down the court, go coast to coast, and he really also makes Phoenix a better team when he can also do that.
Chambers gets his first shot. Oh, they love to hear those Nets sing in Phoenix.
Yes, and that could be a difficult matchup for David Robinson and Tom Chambers, because Tom is going to take him away from the basket, and if he doesn't come out, he can hit the jumper from the outside.
Dale Ellis having a big quarter, has 8. Suns by 4. 2:45 to go in this first quarter. Chambers inside. The Suns are averaging 113.5 points a game, the best in the league.
The reason why Chambers got so open is on the pick and roll play. David Robinson double teamed the ball. Jump shot by Antoine Carr.
4 points for Carr. 4-point game. Haynes to Dumas. The center was open, but Carr makes the block. And foul on Dumas at the top of the head of Carr trying to retrieve it.
Well, the difference between last time and this time is the fact that they got rotation over to the roll man, which is Richard Dumas, and a nice play by Antoine Carr to go straight up and make him change hands. Excellent defense.
Lucas sends in 2 new Spurs, Willie Anderson and J.R. Reed. 2-minute mark of this first quarter. And Reed is fouled. Danny Ainge reaching in. Ainge, when we met with him this morning, wearing a St. Louis Cardinal collective jersey, a 1934 jersey, and not just by accident, a big St. Louis fan, Lou Brock fan all his life.
Well, he's, as people know, he got drafted by Toronto, and he is still a big baseball fan. His 2 sons play baseball, and he's added a lot to this team, too. He's going to bring his championship banners with him for this playoff series, where he can explain to these young guys what championship basketball is all about.
Dumas inside.
And especially for that guy right there, Richard Dumas.
Reed against Chambers. Ellis looking for the 3. 25-24. 11 for Ellis to lead all scorers in this opening quarter.
I think of all the three-point shooters in the NBA, he shoots the shot the easiest of all the players. I mean, no effort at all.
Chambers inside over Robinson.
Well, again, he did the thing about it was Dick, he put his body right into David first and then shot it over, knocked him off balance.
Anderson inside the line, and he has his first attempt. 27-26 Phoenix. Final minute, first quarter. Haynes looking it back out to Chambers. Goes to the Spurs Reed. 35 seconds on the game clock. Robinson inside, and he is fouled.
Well, the key to David Robinson, if you're going to shoot over him, you got to put your body into him first. Here, Chambers go body first, then shot second. You can score on him. If you go ball first, you're going to eat all leather.
Tough digestion.
It's tough to try to explain that to young players. A lot of times young players like to put the ball in the guy's face, and that's why their shot get blocked a lot.
Robinson, fouled by Ainge, makes both free throws, and San Antonio back in front by 1. 20-second timeout with the Spurs leading 28-27. Well, a doubleheader, the final day of the regular season, and we'll have a twin bill for you. The Bulls in New York that was building to be such a climactic game finish the year, and now it'll be an exercise. And, well, I'm sure the Knicks are going to say, you're not going to beat us at home, and knowing Michael, that's all the challenge he'd want. That'll be the 12:30 game, and then the Nets and the Pistons, and the Pistons could still have hopes, entertaining hopes of squeaking into that 8th spot in the playoff picture in the East.
Well, I think that Orlando and Indiana has to lose and they have to win. But talking about that Chicago, New York, from a player's side, I'm glad it didn't come down to that last game. I might have feared somebody would have gotten hurt. So I look forward to the playoffs, seeing them two maybe meet. But Cleveland will have a lot to say about that, too.
Ainge misses, and Robinson with 16 seconds heads the other way. So the Spurs with the lead, looking for the final shot. Robinson with 4.5 and a beautiful 8-footer. 30-27, 3 seconds. This is where Phoenix has made a lot of dramatic plays. And Knight throwing a volleyball up there, and it's coming close. So the end of the quarter, 30-27 San Antonio, led by the veteran Dale Ellis. 5 out of 7 and 11 points. And we'll return to America West Arena in Phoenix after these words. Oh, get him, Sir Charles, she says, or he says. Got to watch out.
That's right. All the letters will come in on you.
Young and old, they love this game.
And they love Charles Barkley, too.
Frank Johnson, the veteran from Wake Forest, now in at point guard for the Suns. And the Suns score first here in the second quarter. And a chance to tie the game.
It was an excellent play. Danny Ainge came off a single pick here and caught it and ran right into the middle on a runner. Got fouled. Good.
And he said that 86 Boston team, he said, may have been the best ever.
Well, I think that he is right in terms of the Celtic Laker teams, and whether they be the ones that we both played on or the ones in the past, can go down as history as being one or two of the best ever played.
Anderson, Miller, the rookie from Arkansas, the changes. Jonas. Hands out of the pack comes the veteran Johnson.
But they love Frank Johnson because the crowd, he gives them energy. He comes, he hustles all the time, and he gives the Phoenix Suns energy. That's what they like about him.
David Wood had the block. Dumas gets it back, and he beat the buzzer, but unable to connect. J.R. Reid ahead to Anderson. And it goes against the Spurs.
If San Antonio is going to have some success against the Portland Trail Blazers in that playoff series, Willie Anderson is going to have to play a good series. I think they're counting on him to give them some points off the bench, and if he doesn't supply that, they're going to be in trouble playing against Portland.
Carr picked up the foul at the other end. Miller. 2 seconds. Oh, Miller scores. Beat the buzzer. Phoenix leads 31-30. He's lost some 40 pounds, this rookie from Arkansas, and great leaper. He's had his share of blocks, 100 of them.
We're talking to Charles. Charles has taken Oliver up under his wing and really trying to help him understand what it takes to be a professional.
And Miller just winged J.R. Reid as he came into his territory.
Well, this team, the Phoenix Suns, makes more shots when the clock is winding down than probably any team in history. Here it is right there. You see another fantastic shot right at the end when before the buzzer went off. I tell you, we hope that that doesn't happen in the playoffs, huh? Those other teams that they have to face.
Well, they've been just about everyone in the league at the buzzer. Certainly in the West, the Lakers got it from Marley on a 40-footer. Denver, Ainge beat Denver final seconds, and then, of course, the Barkley shot in Portland. On and on. J.R. Reid ties it at 31. 10 minutes to go in the half. Don't forget at halftime on Showtime, the first of a series that'll run through the weekend on that incredible hit man is New York, your former coach Pat Riley.
Well, everybody stay tuned because it will be a good series on a good man.
Antoine Carr and San Antonio back in front by a basket. Carr with 6. Miller.
look at San Antonio, they're actually playing without a point guard. I guess they're really using Lloyd Daniels as their point guard, getting them into their offense.
Vinny Del Negro has an injury, a sore elbow, and because he won't play today. They got that serious because they don't want him to aggravate it, so we will not see Del Negro. So Lucas a little short unless he activates himself.
And he very well might do that. And the problem with that, with having Vinny Del Negro out, is the fact that they want to run and they really can't do that without a point guard.
Reed. Now with 3 points, there's Del Negro in Alabama, North Carolina State. Chambers with 8, with 10, and he's fouled. Well, the veteran Chambers off the injured list here late in the year, and he's delivering some good minutes.
Yeah, Tom Chambers is, what he does best is he can pump fake you and take you to the basket. You draw the foul. Good.
8:48 left in the half, tied at 35.
Back at America West Arena in Phoenix, you're looking at the injured left knee of the Suns point guard Kevin Johnson, injured in the celebration, post-game celebration, in the exciting win over Portland on Thursday night. Kevin, it's been a frustrating year for you injury-wise. How are your emotions getting injured just before the playoffs again?
It feel good. The biggest problem is for me to tell my mom to see how she'd handle it. I'll be ready. I'll be back. My teammates are supporting me. Why don't you tell Magic to let me borrow his left knee since he's not playing?
All right, we got a suggestion for you, too. If the Suns make it to the NBA Finals, why don't you jump in Charles? The opposite, right?
I'm not participating in any celebration until it's all over. Then I'll bungee jump.
All right, Kevin, good luck to you. Back to Dick.
Kevin Johnson, his mother in Sacramento, and just stay out of the way of Barkley. I mean, that's the whole key.
And he can have this left knee.
He'd really be out of the playoffs.
As long as if he wins it all, he gives me some of that playoff check money.
We've heard lots of things about what you might be doing in the next year or two. I'm going to have to dig into that. Look through your pockets here to see where your tickets are going to take you. J.R. Reed and on the baseline. It'll be Phoenix the other way. We're tied at 35, 8.5 minutes left in the first half.
Well, he had nowhere really to go. The line kind of caught up with him. He stepped out of bounds there. You know, you almost have to say, okay, the baseline is only so much there, so he should have just pulled the ball back out.
Chambers with 10 points, 5 for 5 shooting. Big strides and quickness. Reed ahead to Lloyd Daniels. Daniels and San Antonio will get it back.
It was an excellent defense there. Real quick hand by Marley, and he's known for his defense ability, and he shows you that there. You know, Richard Dumas has taken about 5 or 6 wild shots today. And
1 for 6, yeah.
He hasn't shown me that part of his game this year, so I'm surprised that he's taking bad shots right now.
From Avery Johnson, and it's stolen by Dumas. Wood had to foul him. There was no way he was going to catch up.
Man, he must have heard me. He was going to probably come in there with a monster dunk.
Wood second foul.
Well, he anticipated the pass coming out to Wood very well, and Wood had no choice but to foul him because he knew what was coming if he didn't foul him.
14 foul, and officials ruling that Dumas was already gathering, ready to shoot.
Well, Richard Dumas credits John Lucas with his success this year in the league. John Lucas worked with him when he was in rehab. He had a drug problem, but he's conquered it now. He's really gave the Phoenix Suns a surprise performance this season. They didn't think that he would be all that he is this season, and that's the reason I think Richard Dumas is the reason why the Phoenix Suns have the best record besides all the other great players that they have.
Yeah, much credit to Lucas, who coached him down with the Miami Tropics, along with Lloyd Daniels, who's on the floor now for San Antonio. J.R. Reed drawing the foul.
You know what? That's the reason John Lucas is a good coach right now, because he cares about all his players.
Foul on Chambers. Chambers said, I just happened to have my head sitting there and he ran into it. Why is that a foul?
He was saying, did I hit him or did he hit me?
7.5 to go in this first half. Johnson behind JR. David Robinson back in. Chambers gathers the rebound. Whoa, what a leap by Dumas. The thrill of that play was the catch.
He has so much athletic ability. He can really sky and hang up there. And that time he showed us some of that athletic ability.
39-35 Phoenix. Suns going for their 62nd win. Ellis for three. A rare miss for him. Chambers another rebound. He's playing well, and that just makes Phoenix all the tougher. This veteran Chambers has averaged in his career 22.5 a game in the playoffs.
You know, he had, they had problems Cotton and him before Cotton retired. And,
boy, Dumas right out of the holster. That was quick. Little Dumas highlight film here.
Yes, two great plays consecutively. Here it is. He goes up high. He knew he couldn't get it and score, so he came down with it, went right back up with it. And here he gets bumped when he goes baseline on Reed, puts it up strong, and one.
Another run for the Phoenix Suns. They lead by 6. Marley wants 3.
The 1993 NBA playoffs, beginning next week, here on the NBA on NBC.
And we will really fill the table for you. A doubleheader on Saturday and a triple header on Sunday. First big weekend of the playoffs. We'll be up in Portland on Saturday and back down here, Phoenix and the Lakers on Sunday. Dumas unable to complete the three-point play. Oliver Miller keeps it alive. And Sean Elliott collects. 8-0 run for Phoenix that has given them a 6-point lead at 41-35 with 6:20 to go in the half. Spurs haven't scored in 3 minutes, so Elliott doesn't either. Frank Johnson ahead to Marley, 2-on-1. Dumas did the right thing. He waited and gave Marley the fake, and when Marley saw that, they thought he might dish off right to the hole.
And with the left hand slam dunk. You know, the reason San Antonio was struggling, they went to the bench and they really didn't get any good play for any of the players that were out there on the court.
Avery Johnson ends the 10-point streak for Phoenix.
Yeah, right there, that's the key for San Antonio. Avery Johnson is going to be given that shot all series against Portland, and he's going to have to knock that down for San Antonio to be successful.
Miller out of bounds to San Antonio.
Well, Dan Marley gets a great outlet pass here, and he has Richard Dumas to his right, but he said, well, Richard, let me have this one. I worked so hard to dribble it down this far, I might as well take it all the way.
Offensive foul against San Antonio. Dale Ellis has his second.
But he was in a shoving match with Dan Marley, trying to get Dan basically off of him, and when he pushed him, he got called for the offensive foul.
Robinson rebounds. He now has 8. Sean Elliott. Wilson with a sensational kiss off the glass. He has 4.
But here come right back Phoenix Suns. That's what they do to you. You can celebrate at one end. They say, hey, we're going to get it in and run it right back at you. And they got a fast break. So you don't have time to feel good about what you did on the other end.
So how do you defense that? I mean, what do you have to keep someone back against Phoenix? And
you can't do it. They just...
you can't defend their...
No, you can't do it. You cannot defend it. Well, here come Avery, and he got tripped here, and he just said, well, I guess I got to throw it up here. And he hit, and they came right back. Frank Johnson leads the fast break to Sabalas. He comes up under. Boy, I tell you, that demoralizes a team. When you score, then they come right back at you and score quickly.
Frank Johnson went out and was limping, holding a right ankle as he went to the sidelines. Some confusion here.
Well, he's still out right now, and they only have 4 guys out.
Frank limping toward the center line. It's a dead ball foul, and so Johnson has to stay in apparently. They can't get Ainge and Barkley on the court. San Antonio had the ball, and that's it. Phoenix called timeout.
Well, hopefully for Phoenix, that Frank Johnson is not seriously hurt, because if he goes down, then they're only down to 1 point guard. And you can definitely play them differently in terms of the Lakers when they have to play them.
Kevin Johnson, if you're just joining us, he was injured 2 nights ago in the post-victory celebration when Barkley ran and they were going to hug. Instead, they struck knee against knee, and Johnson, with a sprained ligament, will be out 10 to 14 days. Probably will miss the entire Lakers series.
And Dick, that's why I said what I said about that Chicago-New York game. If it came down to that tomorrow, those guys playing as hard as they're going to play, they would have played. It would have been probably a few guys getting hurt in that game.
It had war written all over it.
Yes.
Marley inside and a foul. No basket.
That's one thing we players know about. It's those wars and those big games and how you come to play.
Is Riley like a football coach in the locker room in the big games? I mean, you've been there with him. Does he give you that, Newt Rockney? Is he that kind of coach in an important game?
Oh, he definitely motivates you and gets you so sky high and ready to play against your opponent. He's just a master motivator, and that's what you need on this level to motivate some of these guys.
Marley with 2. Well, you'll get a taste of the psychology, the philosophy, the spirit of Pat Riley. He's our special feature at halftime.
Well, people are finding out he's more than just a guy who wears great-looking suits.
Carr not there. Sabalas with a rebound. Out to Barkley. Barkley skids out of bounds. No whistle. Elliott, stolen by Miller, hustling back. Oh, beautiful, but Miller can't complete it.
I tell you, for a game that doesn't have any meaning to it in terms of in the standings, both teams are playing so hard and making excellent defensive plays.
David Robinson showing his quickness, and it appeared to be Ainge picking up his 3rd foul. It was on Oliver Miller, 1. Let's go to Dan Hicks and get word on the injury to Frank Johnson.
All right, Dick. Frank Johnson, nothing serious with the Suns point guard. He took a knee in the right thigh. They put some ice on it, and they're going to check him out further at halftime. But they say that he should be back in the game. If not in this first half, he'll be back in the second half. Dick?
Boy, judging by that microphone, the wind's picking up here at the America West Arena.
Well, the knee to the thigh is not going to hurt you as much today as it will tomorrow. That's when the pain comes tomorrow, and he might. What usually happens is it will be tough for you to walk tomorrow, but after a day or so, it'll be all right.
It's interesting that both coaches have elected to leave town for 3 days. San Antonio and Phoenix will go out of the cities, their home cities, to have a little mini camp before the playoffs. Did you do that?
Yes, we did that. We used to go to Santa Barbara, and what both coaches want is the fact to bring the team together, make them realize how important the playoffs are, especially for some of these young guys who've never been in a playoff. They got to understand now it's a whole new season. What you've done in the regular season means nothing. Hey, this is the time that it counts. So it's time to play.
Barkley, a great feed to Miller. Barkley, who is close second to Kevin Johnson in assists for Phoenix this year.
Because he gets double teamed so much, that being Charles Barkley, that enables him to make the excellent pass out, and he has also guys who can finish the play once he passes it out.
Johnson, no whistle. Sean Elliott, and a foul on Dumas. Fans didn't like that sequence. 2:32 left in this first half.
In New York. Coming up on the Prudential Halftime Report, we'll bring you the first part of a lengthy interview with Knicks head coach Pat Riley. A sit-down we did with him during the All-Star break, which offers some insight into one of the league's top coaches. And we'll hear from Phil Jackson on how he plans to play things tomorrow when his Bulls face the Knicks at Madison Square Garden, considering that the game is now meaningless. That's coming up on the Prudential Halftime Report. But right now, let's head back to Phoenix and rejoin Dick Enberg and Magic Johnson. Dick?
All right, Robert. Now, Pat Riley, you could tell some stories, and I know you're interested in seeing just what is revealed, and here's a man quite unlike Pat Riley, Cotton Fitzsimmons. His style was different. He works the radio games here in Phoenix, of course, was the coach last year, worked with us. He had a big hand in naming Paul Westphal the coach this year.
Do you think he retired maybe a year too early?
Well, he's been asked that a lot of times this year.
I'm sure he wanted to coach Charles Barkley maybe at least 1 year. But he's helped Paul Westphal develop as the coach. And he's done a lot for the NBA.
So, the desk has a little sign of executive vice president of nothing.
Barkley against Robinson. Olympian against Olympian. They clear the floor. Sir Charles. Not quite there. Robinson over Mark West. Elliott almost got his hands entangled in the net there. How about Shaq O'Neal? I mean, we're going to have to get an O'Neal rule to preserve the backstops in this league.
Every time Shaquille plays now, you're going to have 3 or 4 extra baskets waiting in the back. Man, he's just tearing them down left and right.
Barkley and Marley had the same idea. A couple of all-stars thinking on the right page, but they deflected it away from one another.
Yeah, that's what happened basically, because if one or the other had to let the other one have it, they would have went down for an easy layup.
4-point lead for the Suns, and Dale Ellis cuts it to 49-47.
Well, they have Danny Ainge now playing point guard, and they're going to have to go to this in the playoffs, so you might see this lineup a lot in the second half.
Barkley using his body against Robinson. That's 0 for 3 against Robinson, and Bobby says, why don't you just go home?
Well, Dick, the first time, Charles used his arm to knock the Admiral back, and that's why he got the shot off. We'll see it right here. The off arm seam cleared his left arm out of David Robinson. Charles did, and that's why he was able to put the shot up. And now David's laughing with the referee here about what Charles did to him.
Barkley just said, I've had enough of you. Who did he hang around with in Barcelona, Barkley? Or was he a loner?
No. Michael Jordan and Charles are really good friends, and we all hung out. They play golf in the morning. We play cards at night.
Robinson a point from tying it at 49.
And speaking of Charles, he told us on the bus in Barcelona that this team, Phoenix team, would do what it's doing right now, and we all didn't believe him. But he said that they were going to be the best team in the NBA and that they were going to win the championship. So the first half of the comment he made is true, so we'll see if the second half holds true.
There's a foul, and Barkley gets the foul and may have gotten a technical.
He's out. Called double technical on him. Kicks him out the game.
They want to be careful now. Paul Westphal's running, and you don't want Barkley to get too physical now. You got playoffs coming. You can be suspended for those too.
Yes, and they don't need to lose him for the playoff, because with KJ down, they need him to be in there.
Well, it's 1:30 Phoenix time. Maybe he's got a 2 o'clock tee time. double-double, 11 points, 10 rebounds, and now a couple of quick technicals. He was suspended, remember, earlier this year for jumping over the scores table and chasing Jimmy Clark, the referee in New York. Carr makes the free throws.
Well, I think right here the fans are disappointed because, of course, they know that the game doesn't have any meaning to it, but they wanted to see Charles play, and they won't get a chance to see him play no more this afternoon.
Second was Robinson that has the double-double, 11 points, 10 rebounds. You saw Barkley with 8 points and on his way to his locker room. Final minute here in Phoenix. Anderson to Robinson. Beautiful feed.
Oh, beautiful play. They set that up. They knew that Mark West was going to play on the high side, so when he did that, he decided to spin. Excellent play.
Ainge unable to hit the three, and the officials can't decide. It'll be a jump ball.
Well, Charles Barkley, he's known for being direct, and he's talking all the way down, letting them know.
He gets the first technical and applauds that.
Exactly.
And then he gets the second.
Charles is going to be Charles. Now, but Charles is going to have to watch that, Dick, in the playoff, though. They cannot afford to lose him in a game in the playoff. So, in the playoff, he's going to have to tone that down because it's important that he be out on the floor, especially with KJ out.
You had to tone him down in Barcelona, didn't you? I mean, he got to be a little of the ugly American type.
Well, between myself and Michael Jordan, we just had to tell him that some of the things we didn't need. But Charles is going to be Charles. We all love him. But what Charles has to understand that if they're going to win the championship, he's going to have to be on the basketball floor. He cannot ride the referees in the playoff because they will make him pay for that.
Marley, long three with 2.5 seconds left, unable to find any iron. San Antonio on a 9 straight point finish of the second half. 1.5 seconds to go. So this is where Phoenix is tough. Ball at midcourt, a second and a half left. Let's see what they come up with on this one. Chambers, he didn't get it off, I didn't think. That's it, 53-49, San Antonio over a Phoenix team minus all-star Charles Barkley. Showtime coming up. Pat Riley, the feature, right after these.
Time at the America West Arena, the Spurs lead the Suns 53-49. Bob Costas back along with Mike Fratello for this Saturday afternoon in the studio. Thoughts on the first half?
Well, the most obvious thing becomes the fact that should this go on now and we get to the playoff type of situation, Charles Barkley cannot lose his poise and wind up being ejected from basketball games. He leads the NBA by far in technical fouls. Already with Kevin Johnson having the injury, Charles Barkley has to be on the floor for this Phoenix team. Now, whether or not he was just trying to send a message and say, hey guys, we still have to play with intensity, that's another story, but he has to play on the floor.
32 technicals, by the way, for the year for him, far and away leading the NBA, and another typically eventful week for him. He has the carom basket with half a second to go against Portland. He has the incident where the lady rips up the napkin with the autograph, and he retaliates by dumping the beer on her. He breaks, or doesn't break, but injures Kevin Johnson inadvertently in a celebration when they embrace, and then he gets thrown out of a game on national television. Good week for Charles.
Just try to draw a little more attention, that's all.
And successfully. Now, tomorrow on NBC, we have a doubleheader starting with Showtime at 12:30 Eastern. Game 1 is the Knicks and the Bulls at Madison Square Garden. Game 2, the Nets and the Pistons at the Palace. The Knicks have clinched home court advantage throughout the Eastern Conference playoffs, so the Bulls game is meaningless in the standings. We asked Phil Jackson about his plans for tomorrow.
I'm not going to expend Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant, guys that played long minutes this year, to a game that doesn't have great significance. We're 1-2 against this ball club. We played a game and a half without Michael Jordan. Actually, he's hurt in the first quarter in Thanksgiving and got pounded by them. We played another game because of a suspension that was a close game on our home court that we lost. And we had one game when both teams were at full force here at Christmas. And so I'm sure the ball players feel like, hey, you know, if Michael's playing, and we have our full cast of characters, then let's see who's the best team.
And when we come back, the first part of our conversation with Knicks coach Pat Riley. That's after a message from Prudential and a word from the NBA. Pat Riley is completing his second season as head coach of the New York Knicks. The team was floundering before President Dave Checketts tapped Riley and asked him to revitalize the franchise. Under Riley, the Knicks have made remarkable strides, but interestingly, if they are to win a championship this year or in the near future, they'll do so with a style and personnel much different than Riley's 4 Laker champions. That's the topic as we begin the first of our 3-part interview with the Knicks coach, taped in February at the All-Star Game in Salt Lake City. Here it is. Let's talk about coaching in general. I know you're a student of this profession, not just of basketball. I think of a guy like Don Shula. He wins a certain way in the 70s with the personnel he has. Marino comes in, he wins a different way with that personnel. You're winning in New York, but also proving that point. Your team has a different style based on its personnel than the teams you had with the Lakers.
I don't think it was conscious, Bob. I did not come to New York with any other philosophy than what I brought from Los Angeles, and that was, you know, a coach who liked the run, a coach who liked the post up, and, you know, maybe contrary to public opinion, you know, a coach who wanted his players to play hard all the time and be respectful of the defensive end. We played defense a little bit different in Los Angeles because of our personnel, but when we came to New York as a group, coaches and management, I think it was all born out of a philosophy of trying to get people to work real hard, to take pride in to maybe being thought of as the best conditioned team in the league, to try to continue to improve on your professionalism, to try to teach players to become more unselfish and tougher mentally. And I think for the most part they have embraced that philosophy. And I think once they embrace the philosophy, the hard work and the defense or whatever style you want to play will follow. And I think it just sort of gravitated to the defensive rebounding style more than anything that I consciously did.
Bob Knight has often been quoted saying, if we play as well as we can play and we lose, I'm more gratified than if I think we play poorly and we win. We don't have to win the NCAA title for me to consider it a successful season. But this is pro ball. Suppose your team achieves to something close to the maximum that the personnel indicates, but you get bounced out somewhere along the line in the playoffs. Can you take satisfaction?
I don't think, it depends on how you rate your team, you know, and it comes down to, I think, understanding what you have, you know, how many weapons you have, who the opposition is, and the realistic goal of can you and should you be playing for a championship. We lost last year in the 7th game against the Chicago Bulls, and maybe to answer your question this way, I was not satisfied, you know, with taking the Bulls to 7th game and getting beat in the quarterfinals of the playoffs. So I think as soon as you feel like you're satisfied in that losing or maybe mediocrity is enough, then I think you've gotten to a point where you can accept that, you know, readily. And the NBA is about winning. It's really about winning, and it's about misery, and you know, it's much more fun to win.
Should players care as much as the coach, or would it be counterproductive, assuming that they give their best effort, would it be counterproductive if they cared as much as you?
Probably. I think it's our job to care for all of them. And I'm not saying that players should not take the responsibility of caring about everything that goes on. I mean, a coach is times 12. Okay? I mean, a coach is times 12 players. You know, and I don't know if a player thinks times 13 or whatever it is, or 15. I think players have to care about how their team plays, about how they're perceived. You know, there's integrity, there's dignity, there's all these things that you want to be characterized as and to be part of. And so there has to be a sense of pride, not a puffed up pride, you know, where you're thumping your chest, but somewhere a sense of quiet, reserved pride that you're part of a team that really is significant. So I don't think it's in their nature, nor do I think the job description is enough where they have to worry as much as a coach.
Parts 2 and 3 with Riley tomorrow on Showtime. Obviously a man of many facets. From a coaching standpoint, his single biggest strength in your estimation?
From what I gather in talking to players who have played for Pat Riley, they feel that there never will be a situation that comes up during a game, a halftime situation, a timeout, where he is unprepared for it. The man tries to cover every aspect.
Now, Phil Jackson said a moment ago that given the fact that this can't affect the playoff situation, we thought it would be a very important game. Turns out to be meaningless in that sense tomorrow, unless there's some psychological advantage they're vying for. So he's going to cut back the minutes for his starters. You think that Riley will respond in kind?
I think Pat Riley will try to continue the march on to win number 60 and give the team the greatest momentum possibly can going into the playoff rounds.
So you think it matters more to Riley to win tomorrow, especially given the fact that they're home, maybe, than it matters to Jackson?
It matters more to Pat Riley tomorrow. Phil Jackson's already made his statement by saying he's going to reduce the minutes.
Okay, and we'll get back to the second half of the Spurs and the Suns. San Antonio leading it by 4. Dick Enberg and Magic Johnson rejoining you after these messages from your local station.
This has been the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by the Prudential. Peace of mind. It comes with every piece of the rock.
And welcome back to the America West Arena. What a facility this is, 19,000, and most all of them were booing the officials, particularly Joe Borgia, as they left the floor at the end of the first half. Now here's Barkley. This was after the contact with Riley. Look at him. He's barking at Borgia all the way up court. And continued, and finally at this point we'll get the technical 1, and then when he applauds, technical 2 followed quickly thereafter. And for you, Magic Johnson, I mean, we've seen it before, 32 technicals, and it's part of his personality, and it may be because he knows this isn't an important game.
Well, he's the leader of this team, and the whole thing is that he knows, yes, that it's not an important game, but in the playoff, he can have none of that. Nor can the Phoenix Suns if they're going to win a championship.
But Paul Westphal is 3 men shy now. KJ, Kevin Johnson, out for 10 to 14 days. Frank Johnson, his replacement at point guard with an injured thigh, and then the ejection of Barkley. So the Suns will play with 9 in the second half. Let's go to the Miller Genuine Draft halftime statistics, and David Robinson with 10 boards. Leading a San Antonio team that is very tough when they out-rebound the opposition, and that's their aim against Portland in their upcoming playoff. They have to out-rebound the Blazers. Boy, did we hear that a few times this weekend. And field goal percentage, San Antonio out-shooting Phoenix. That's somewhat surprising as well, in that Phoenix gets a lot of fast break baskets. We're at halftime, 53-49. Both teams on the court. And we'll return after these words from your local station. Back and a check of the top scorers. First for the Spurs, Dale Ellis, who was hot early, 11 in the first quarter. Robinson now with 13 and Antoine 12. Tom Chambers off the bench, the veteran with 10. Barkley 8 before the exit. And Charles $250 lighter. Someone estimated that Charles, with the fines and suspensions during his career, 9 years, is shy some $250,000, now $250.
And he doesn't care.
How many times were you kicked out of a game in the NBA? How many times were you?
I think it was 2 or 3.
2 or 3 for talking or for?
No. I got kicked out once for Jake O'Donnell. One of my first years kicked me out for complaining.
For being a rookie.
And then Kevin Johnson and I got into a little scrape. Matter of fact, my last year, I think, in the league. And we got kicked out. Other than that, that was it.
Of course, you're not a golfer either, so that makes a difference.
No, that's why I didn't get kicked out, because I had nowhere to go.
We go to the second half. San Antonio up by 4, and Phoenix scored only 1 field goal in the final 4 minutes, 37 seconds of the first half.
Well, we see that Gerard Mustafa is in starting second half.
And Richard Dumas shows that he can do more than just drive inside. It's the jumper. 53-51 San Antonio. 10 for Dumas. Ellis and Robinson with Elliott, Carr, and Johnson, the same 5 that started for John Lucas. Del Knight, Dumas, West, Ellis, and Mustafa for Phoenix. Del Knight to Elliott. kind of star as there is in the NBA. You just don't really notice him. And then sometimes I think Lucas would like him to have a little more energy and be more physical and aggressive.
Well, you know, it's not by his nature, though. Sean is a quiet guy, and that's his nature.
Robinson, he's tough to get through. And Avery Johnson at the other end. 55-51.
He reminds me a lot of Danny Manning in that sense. Danny comes out, gets the job done. He's an all-star, but nobody seems to notice him, you know, and that's because of he's a quiet person.
David Robinson with a steal to set up the basket. That was his 123rd of the season to lead San Antonio. Johnson to Carr. Nice block by Dumas.
Oh, no, Dick, not a nice block. That was a great block.
Knight at the other end. Robinson intimidated him.
Oh, my. That's one of yours. I stole it from you.
Oh, I wish I'd have thought of that.
Here it comes down on the fast break. Now, Antoine Carr thinks he has a slam dunk. Easy. Richard Dumas said, no, thank you. Give it here.
A bewildered look from the veteran Carr.
I think he was sort of surprised.
Dumas again, a terrific feed from Knight. 55-53 San Antonio. 12 points for Dumas. This is number 4 scorer for Phoenix. 15 and a half a game. Two-man game, Elliott and Robinson can't get it in the hole, and it's out of bounds off Mark West.
Now, the only advantage, here comes a replay here, and David Robinson sort of shorts this shot, and he knows in his own mind he should have made that layup. But the only advantage that you get in terms of if you're a Phoenix player and a Phoenix fan, with Charles being out, sometime in the playoffs, Charles Barkley will be in foul trouble. So this situation right here, Dick, helps them to now learn to play without Charles in case they have to in the playoffs.
We go the other way. Offensive foul on Phoenix. So Mannix tried to talk with Paul Westphal prior to the start of the second half, and to call Westphal testy would be pretty kind. He did not want to comment on Charles Barkley, period.
And to Coach Paul Westphal's credit, he should have been. He left it alone. He did not want to comment about it because he will address that tomorrow in a private meeting with Charles as they get ready for the playoffs.
Not on national television.
No. You don't do that.
Are you talking like an owner or a coach? I want to get this straight. Now, what are we hearing from you?
I'm trying to be an owner. That's it.
Marley with a good fake and a great pass to Mustaf. And he draws the foul. That's why they love Marley. He can shoot, he can pass, he can steal. He'll defend the toughest guy on the other side.
And he's tough as nails. And here it is. Nice bounce pass around a man, and Mustaf takes it right up.
Former Maryland star from DeMatha in Washington, D.C. Mustaf with a three-point play, and it's a one-point game.
And fans can remember Gerard used to play for New York Knicks and got traded here
with Trent Tucker and the Xavier McDaniel deal.
Yes.
West with a rebound of Elliott's miss. Marley with Robinson behind him. Steals it from Elliott and passes to Mustaf. Hey, Mustaf will be in Marley's to eat tonight, and he might pick up the tab.
Exactly. And the crowd is hollering moves for Gerard.
5 points, all assisted by Marley. Robinson runs into the roadblock from West, and the fans want walking. Avery Johnson, listen to these fans now. They don't like the officiating at all here today.
Well, I think the officials, what they're trying to do now is get everybody ready for the playoffs. This is how it's going to be called in the playoffs. And not letting those little fouls go that they call during the regular season. So this is kind of good to get both teams ready for the playoffs.
Dress rehearsal.
Yes.
Got set it up here and use a little time.
Good decision.
Best half-court team and going into the playoffs? Are they the Knicks, the best half-court team?
The best half-court team defensively is the New York Knicks and the Chicago Bulls. I think the Knicks playoff basketball is tailor-made for the way that the New York Knicks play. Because the game slows down in the playoffs because every possession is so important.
Oh, that hurt teams like Phoenix that like to run?
Oh, yeah.
We'll get more on that later. Westphal and Lucas as they look ahead to... Welcome back. We're midway through the third quarter, 61-58. San Antonio, and Coach John Lucas of the Spurs, as we chatted with him yesterday, he looked Magic Johnson in the eye, and of course the rumors flying around that Johnson's going to be the coach of the Lakers. So Lucas said, I've got some advice for you, Magic.
Magic, let me tell you something. They tell me you get ready to coach. Let me tell you something, buddy. It ain't like when you got that ball in your hand. You know, when you coach it next year, you talk to me midway through. So I know you're telling everybody you're not coaching, but it's just too intriguing for you to be back with the Lakers and all. You know, I know how you think. You're like, oh boy. It's gonna be real fun. Get you somebody who dyes hair really good. Cause I'm gonna tell you, the first half, you know, when they first see you, it's gonna be, oh, Magic, I'm gonna do all for you. And the second half is, Magic, I'm tired today. And you won't be Magic no more. You know, you'll be Irvin. And then you're gonna be some other things.
Okay, make it official now. Laker job, and you said that you were not interested in coaching the Lakers.
No, they never offered it to me, first of all. I've never talked to them about it. They have a coach in Randy Funds. Number one, I want to own a team. Now, if I have to own it and coach it too, I might take that in terms of any organization. I'm not even talking about the Lakers, but I want to own a team. That's
you are involved with a group that wants to get the franchise in Toronto, an NBA franchise.
Right. Our bid will go in on Monday, and hopefully we'll be awarded that team.
So, but you would even coach Toronto then?
But if I coach, you have to be my assistant.
Yeah, the next thing you know, we'll be in the Metropolitan Opera together. That's about as much chance as I have of being with you on the sidelines. Well, the fire is always lit. Magic Johnson. Well, good luck on Monday. Knight not there. 5.5 to go in the third. The Spurs by 3. Anderson, Olympic teammate of David Robinson and Dan Marley in '88 in Seoul.
What the fans can look for is this. Neither coach wants their team to not execute. They want execution. Even though the game doesn't mean anything, they want everybody to still play hard. They want you to take your shots and not try to force shots. And here comes Frank Johnson back in, so that's good news for Phoenix Suns. And also Tom Chambers comes in as well.
Knight goes out, and so does Mark West.
But you still work on things that got you here.
J.R. Reed returns to the lineup for San Antonio. Well, that is good news for Phoenix that Johnson is not seriously injured. Frank Johnson, Kevin Johnson is. Chambers had a good first half. Little piece of the ball on the part of the defender Robinson. Good pass by A.J. Johnson, but it goes through the hands of Anderson. Marley the other way. Frank Johnson to Dumas.
Super feed that time. He took the defense to him and dropped it off.
Dumas leads all scorers with 14, just under his average.
Frank Johnson, I talked to him this morning. I said, what's the difference between winning and losing team, you know, because in his career he played for losing teams, and this is the first time he played with a winner. And he was saying every night when I was playing for a losing team, we said that maybe if we go and play hard, maybe something good can happen. He said, though, right, playing with Phoenix, he knows every night they can win. And he says it's a whole different feeling. He knows no matter where they play, who they play, they can win the game.
Not going to the park saying, I hope we can win.
Right.
We can win.
That's right.
Robinson barreling into Chambers, and the foul is against Phoenix, and now it's Chambers who's upset.
Joe is taking a lot of abuse today.
Borgia, the same official, and Chambers with the evil eye. Second on him. Well, for a game that seemed to have a casual reason for play, certainly intense enough emotionally.
Yes. Well, they're still professionals no matter what.
Anderson drive, and he took a pretty good hit.
Well, here you see that David Robinson is jockeying for a position. Tom Chambers says, no, I'm not having any of that. And finally, Robinson receives the ball and got called for a push, and Tom Chambers did not like it.
Anderson for the three-point play, and Willie Anderson, that's a good sign for San Antonio. Remember about a month ago up in Portland we saw him, and Lucas working, trying to get him back into 100% condition, and he looks much improved.
Well, he's not playing tentative anymore. He's playing a lot more aggressive. As you can see, he got a rebound right there in traffic.
Look at big David Robinson take it all away. San Antonio with its biggest lead, 68-60. Robinson with 15, and it's a timeout, Paul Westphal.
Well, here's a big man. You know, usually 7-footers always want to play guard, and right there, David Robinson got his dream. Laid it in.
Timeout, 3:19 left in the third. Spurs know that John Lucas is not your ordinary coach. He says the players have to respect the fact that they have ownership of the team. This is their team, too, not just mine. And so certain timeouts, he and George Gervin, his assistant, take a walk, and someone in the huddle takes charge of the timeout.
And Coach Lucas said the reason they activated Terry Cummings was why they're out, not in the huddle. Terry Cummings usually helps out. Put the guys together. There's Dan Marley with a three.
Can't let him spot up.
Not any longer. You used to could let back off of Dan and let him shoot because he wanted to drive, but now he's just two-fold game. Terry Cummings in the game.
Veteran from DePaul takes a full circle around the ring. First shot is in, and Cummings an interesting story as we go to the playoffs.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because you don't know what you're going to get from him. You know you're going to get hustle, hard work, and a physical player who can bang up against big players, but you don't know offensively what he's going to give you. And then talking with him yesterday, he said that what he looks to give the team is some leadership.
Look at that, Marley. 2 for 2 as he rainbows that one in.
Man, I guess I retired at the right time because I used to guard Dan Marley.
3 trays today for Marley, one of the league leaders, and he's taken more attempts at that 3 than anyone in the league. Looking for a pick, he's hot.
Oh, he wants it, and they should get him the ball. Not that he has to shoot a 3, but get it to him because he's feeling it right now.
Oliver Miller.
Oh, good throw by Sabalas. Good follow-up.
Sabalas, who was the slam dunk champion a year ago in the NBA All-Star Weekend, rattles that one in. He has 6, and the Suns are within 2. Avery Johnson left alone. Oliver Miller rips it down. Phoenix looks for a tie. Or if it's Marley, maybe the lead.
Well, that shows you why you don't want the ball in big men's hands, because that time Dan Marley was spotted up for the 3, and all the big men missed him wide open.
Pass
by Sabalas. Goes between Oliver Miller and Chambers.
As you can see, Coach Paul Westphal got mad at the pass because he should have passed it back out straight instead of across the court. Back out right in front of him.
Final minutes, third quarter. San Antonio with the ball. And a 2-point lead. Elliott wanted it. Sets up Cummings inside, and Cummings is fouled. You see the big heavy wrap on that right knee of Terry Cummings, who injured it last July working out during the summer. Said it was really a maturing experience for him not to be able to play, to be home, and he became the house father. His wife was allowed to go do her thing, and he said, you know, I kind of was cooking and taking care of them. When she came back, said, I wanted it to still be my way. She says, wait a minute.
You're home for 1 year, finally. Now you want things to change. But I think, Terry, what he was saying was the fact that he finally got some time to enjoy his two sons, watch them play football, I guess basketball. He's been to a lot of their games, but now they're playing baseball. So he's got a chance to be a dad.
He's a high-quality person, Terry Cummings. So he has 4 points off the bench. 37 seconds left in the third.
And Dick, I know about that dad part because I finally get a chance to be one too now.
Marley gets only 2 for that one. Boy, hot.
That's 3 in a row for him.
15 for Marley.
You know what he's doing? He's taking the leadership role right now. He realizes that Charles is out, KJ is out. Hey, I got to step up, and that's what he's doing.
About a 5-second difference between the shot and game clock. 3, and they're thrown away. So San Antonio loses an opportunity to build on the 2-point lead, and Phoenix now probably with the last shot. Frank Johnson. Marley, he wants it. But just couldn't get a shot away as Elliott was on it. And Marley not all that happy not getting a whistle. So at the end of 3 here in Phoenix, San Antonio 72, the Suns 70 will return after these messages and a word from...
All right, this is what happens when you forget where the shooters are. Here's Dan Marley. He's going to end up out here with the 3-point, and he's going to knock it down because Willie Anderson is a step too late, right in his face. That's what they had the scouting reports for. You got to read them. You got to know on out-of-bounds plays where the shooter's going to end up.
Now Marley's made more 3-pointers this year, Magic, than 6 NBA teams.
And then add in Danny Ainge, they probably made more than a lot of teams combined.
Cummings outside. Sabalas almost tipped it in his own goal. 72-70 as we open the fourth quarter. Dick Hendrick with Magic Johnson at the America West Arena. Ainge with a solid, quick pass to Sabalas to tie it at 72. Cedric with 8.
You know what? Dick, watching this game, I'm kind of glad Charles is out because I'm getting a chance to see what other players can do right now in a situation that I've never seen before this season with the Phoenix Suns.
Sean Elliott, that's 10 for the former Arizona All-America. Now Ainge has taken more 3-point shots this year than 2-point shots. He ties it at 74.
And the reason I said that because now you can see who's going to step up. If, like I said, if Charles get in foul trouble, if he fouls out. So now you know Dan Marley and Danny Ainge will probably be the 2 guys who's going to have to supply the offense and step up to lead this team when Charles is out of the game.
Cummings, they reverse the ball and the rebound to Sabalas. I think we'll see a lot of Ainge and Marley in the backcourt, don't you, in the playoffs before KJ returns?
Oh, no question about it. Both of them are smart. They can handle the ball.
Ainge to Chambers, left alone. No shot as a whistle away from the ball. Well, the interest in the Phoenix Suns all the way to the Navajo Nation. For station KTNN, broadcaster Kenneth Merriday and L.A. Williams in the Navajo language calling Phoenix Sun action. Let's...
Danny, now you're それは普通にしてきてنوته بدأ ناتي تابع بقى شنيجي ناتي فراني كده هنا أي بيدا بدأ تيجي أكاد أي هاي نوته بينان خلي بيدا بدأ تيجي بدأ ناتي.
Now that is the first time ever in a Native American tongue Navajo radio covering the Phoenix Suns. So it's Dick Enberg, Magic Johnson with Kenny Maryboy, L.A. Williams. We'll be right back.
Genuine moments.
7 weeks ago, Shaquille O'Neal made his memorable debut in Phoenix. Early in the first quarter, Shaq threw down a thunderous dunk, brought the backboard with him. Unshattered Charles Barkley, however, hit for 28, and Phoenix went on to win 121-105. In recognition of this moment, Miller Genuine Draft will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. And in terms of backboard suspensions, it was Deja Blue. Last night, Shaq did it again.
But they told me that they auctioned the one he tore down here off and raised money.
Can you imagine someone buying? What would you like? I guess you could put in the backyard.
I would have bought it.
How much?
Only if he could have came and played one-on-one with me. You know, that'd been a nice situation.
And you know of what you speak. I've seen you do exactly that and raise almost $30,000 playing one-on-one with 3 gentlemen who kept bidding higher and higher. My hospital back at
yeah.
Legal defense, you know. Why don't they legalize the zone? I mean, I think the NBA hierarchy ought to consider. I was talking with one of the wisest men this basketball world's ever known, Pete Newell, over the week. He said, hey, just start the clock when they hit the timeline. As soon as you get in the offensive end, you have 24 and allow zone defenses. Only the weak teams will really use the zone. You can't be aggressive totally and play zone defense.
Yeah, but it takes away the superstars in that game.
You think it would?
Yeah. It takes away creative ability. Charles Barkley. The fans pay money to see the superstars perform. And in a zone, it takes away that, and they might not pay to see it. And I think you always got to have something different from college. In college, they play zone. In the NBA, we don't here. So I think it's a nice mix.
But you do play zone. It's just not always.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no question we play zone, but not a blatant zone.
Sean Elliott still tied at 74. And if you stay with us, Magic Johnson's going to illustrate a blatant zone right here live on NBC.
Well, you know, you're talking about excellent defense. There are 2 guys blocking that shot by Sabalas that time, David Robinson and J.R. Reed.
That whistle's here, that's why the crowd was upset again.
And that's what you're going to have if you're going to be successful in the playoffs. Good team defense.
Sabalas handcuffed by Danny Ainge's pass.
You see what's happening, Dick, is the fact that they don't really know who to go to now with Charles out. That's why I say it's interesting that he's out, but we can see what's going to happen with this team. And right now, not much.
It's a very low-scoring game for Phoenix. 74 points with 8 minutes to go in the game. Anderson gives the Spurs a 76-74 lead.
And the guy who had really gave him some leadership in scoring is on the bench now. That's Dan Marley.
Chambers. Rebound Sabalas. Over Robinson. Well done. To tie it at 76. The Phoenix Suns have scored under 100 only 8 times all year. And they're 2-6 in those games. Anderson for 3. Sabalas with Ainge wide open, and so is Dumas. He doesn't dunk it. That ball flying 30 feet away from the basket, and Elliott barks at the same official, Gorsham.
Well, here it come here on the fast break. Why he doesn't dunk it? Because Antoine Carr contests him, and he made him miss it. Good defense by Antoine Carr, and here.
And Elliott actually tripped over, looked like Ainge's foot unintentionally. Oliver Miller, and the Suns have the lead.
That excellent pick and roll play. Gave him a good bounce pass. Oliver just tucked it in. Ames with an excellent bounce pass. Oliver said, block this one. Dunked right in the face. He said, yeah, Charles is out, but I'm here.
Well, I think he's going to be a terrific player.
Yes, he is. You know why? Because he's finally understanding what it takes to be a professional, a player in the NBA.
He was so heavy. I mean, he's lost 40 pounds. Actually spent some nights in the hospital earlier this year in trying to control that weight problem. And he could score and jump when he was heavy. Now what's going to happen when he's really fit?
Well, most young players coming into the NBA does not know about weight, good proper diet, and he's just finding that out. Good jumper there by J.R. Reed, but he's understanding what it takes for him to have to play. And also he hired a cook now in his home where he can also keep the weight off.
Anderson with a foul before the shot. Willie Anderson fouling Ames before the shot, and with that we have a timeout. 6:49 left in Phoenix. The Spurs by 1. The Gorilla, their incredible mascot. I mean, what won't he do to get this crowd up? He is a special part of this franchise. And the final day of the regular season tomorrow, and Pat Riley, you'll see parts 2 and 3. He'll talk about leaving the Lakers, his feelings, the emotions of that, and then his feelings and emotions about leaving NBC. All of that will be ahead tomorrow. You're very fond of him, and I know he cares very deeply about you.
Well, it's a love that went deeper than just coach-player relationship. I only wish the best for him. He only wished the best for me. We cried when he came over my house and told me that he was going to leave the Lakers. We cried together. And a lot of that will come out. The truth will come out tomorrow. And it's good that people need to hear what he has to say about what happened with the Lakers.
81-78, Phoenix with the lead. And an entertaining game. The reason you haven't heard Charles Barkley's name is he was ejected in the first half. Ceballos, and no basket, a foul on Antoine Carr, who was trying to save the easy 2.
But it was an excellent foul then by Antoine. Well, you know, we thought that this wasn't going to be a game that was going to be played hard. And Bakis, look at him, bought in. There's Oliver coming up with the steal. These guys are playing hard. They're playing for real. And both teams want to win.
Cedric Ceballos, Ice is his nickname. Cal State Fullerton, well, we have the real Ice over there on the sidelines of San Antonio.
And I know about that. You know, I got two coaches here. My first 2 games, one was the first World Free was my first game, but my second and third game was against George Gervin and Paul Westphal. George Gervin gave me 44 points.
Gave you or scored?
No, scored on me. When I say gave me, that's the language we use on the playground. He scored on me 44 points. The next night I went to Phoenix to play against the Phoenix Suns, and Paul Westphal scored 38 points against me. So I thought I could never play defense in this league.
Well, that's a real introduction to the NBA. 8-7-6-5. Elliott with 3. Carr doing a good job trying to keep it alive, but out of bounds to Phoenix. Well, these fans didn't come to see the Suns lose. They want win number 62.
Well, they're anticipating great things in the playoffs, and they finally realized they have a team that can probably compete for the championship.
Oliver Miller underneath the Chambers. A bit unlucky, and Robinson with a rebound. Robinson with 14 boards in this game.
Now, Coach John Lucas told us yesterday that David Robinson wasn't going to play a lot of minutes, but he's out there, and he's played an awful lot of minutes.
Dumas, boy, he can finish the break, this kid.
He finishes the break like Dr. J used to do. Just jump over people and slam dunk right in their face. You know, he gets out on the wing. There's Avery Johnson. He just goes right around and slam dunk. Yeah, they love it here in Phoenix. This break effective if they're going to get 4 guys on the break. And this guy right here, Richard Dumas, is going to get the recipient of a good pass from Danny Ainge as he runs straight down the court, and watch him just take off and dunk hard. You know, he dunks hard like Dr. J, power dunk.
Suns with 21 fast break points to only 6 for the Spurs. Both teams like to run, but perhaps no one does it better than Phoenix.
Nobody in the NBA does it better than Phoenix. They don't have as many finishers. This team has 3 or 4 guys who can finish the break off.
Dumas with a near steal and almost got the turnover with Ellis hitting it last. Played at Oklahoma State.
And you know he wasn't a starter because they had Brian Houston was the star, so nobody really knew about it. Here he comes with a big steal.
Avery Johnson to beat. And he rolls it, and John Lucas can't believe it. Lucas gets a technical. Lucas thought that was a charge.
Well, he almost got the first one. He didn't come up with that one, but he came up with this one. And he comes down. Now, Avery Johnson tries to establish position. He puts his hands out. It could have went either way. You're at home. You're in Phoenix. They should have got the call. He deserved to finish that layup off because of his hustle.
Range hits the technical.
It's mighty tough, but I don't think he was really established.
When you're in deep, it better be a clean charge in the NBA. It's not like the colleges where you can jump in under a man and get that flop foul.
Exactly.
Lucas trying to swallow the technical, and suddenly it's Phoenix with their biggest lead of the game, 9 points. 4:50 to go. And what's interesting in the second half, here you've got your star player, San Antonio, David Robinson. Robinson has scored 2 points in the second half. He's had considerable time. He's had only 3 field goal attempts. Now, is that forgetting where your big guy is, or is that just good defense?
Well, it's a combination of 2 things, good defense and not receiving the ball enough.
Robinson takes it in his own hands and gets the basket and a free throw.
See, Dick, when you move him out from the post area out to the free throw line, you can't double team him then. And he's also so quick, and he can put the ball down on the court that he can go right around Oliver Miller or most centers and score.
That's 18 for Robinson to lead San Antonio, plus 14 rebounds.
That's what makes him unique, is the fact that you can move him outside and play him like at a forward position in a sense. And he can go around most guys.
Great move by Dumas. The backdoored and got the pass from another rookie, Miller. These young players in Phoenix, no wonder they're excited. They really go deep in that bench.
Yes, like I said, I wanted to see what was going to happen without Charles Barkley, and it's happening.
Dumas now with 21 to lead all scorers. His high this year is 32.
Well, let's check out the backdoor play. Now here's Oliver Miller. Here's Dumas. He's going to go backdoor right there. Excellent bounce. Excellent pass. Laid it in. Oh man. I tell you, they are working to perfection backdoor play.
Avery Johnson makes it 89-83. 4 minutes to go. Oh, Robinson had the steal. Miller drives it up and it comes out to Anderson. 3-on-2. He wants to shoot it. Ellis way short.
See what happened? They had a 3-on-2 that time. Instead of them getting a layup, they got a jump shot and a shot that was, 20 feet from the basket, and it didn't go in.
Robinson deflected that backdoor. Avery Johnson to Robinson.
Oh, yeah. Good pass, good decision by Avery Johnson to locate David Robinson, the trail man, for the slam dunk. Good tip right there by David. He started off with good defense, and he should receive the ball because when he played good D, he should get it back. Avery Johnson knows that as a point guard. Slam dunk.
And the Spurs are within 4 with 3:21 to go. NBA action today, a doubleheader tomorrow, and tonight NBC brings you 2 great hours of comedy. Almost Home, Nurses, Empty Nest, a terrific new series with Paul Reiser and Helen Hunt, Mad About You, followed by Sisters. Returns to NBC Saturday night lineup. All new episode, that's all tonight on NBC.
And if you're not thinking both teams not trying to win this game, here comes Dan Marley back in the game, and Danny Ainge. So these teams are trying to win this game.
Ainge blocked by Johnson. 6 seconds to go. This is everything. Robinson has another rebound. Big game for David. Avery Johnson calling out traffic control. Ellis for 3. And it's 89-88.
Credit Avery Johnson for that three-point shot because he told Willie Anderson, go through, let the trail man, Dale Ellis, spot up for the 3, knocked it down.
7 straight points now for the Spurs. And the blocking call against Dale Ellis. Here's 4.
Well, here's the three-point shot right here by Dale Ellis, and I think John Lucas sort of likes that. Oh, yeah. That's it.
Try to feel it more. Come on, feel it a little more.
Man, if I was a coach, see, I would be going crazy. That's why I probably couldn't be a coach. I'd be dancing more than that.
You sure couldn't coach football. Too many men on the field. You'd be out there all the time.
You know who deserves a lot of credit here building this organization? Jerry Colangelo. Excellent trade to bring Barkley here. Sign unrestricted free agent and Danny Ainge. They were smart enough to draft a guy like Richard Dumas, and he deserves a lot of credit.
And of all of that, build this beautiful facility.
Yes. Yes. The best facility probably in basketball right now.
Willie Anderson steps up. David Robinson battling and saves it for San Antonio. He's working on a 20-rebound game. Ellis inside. 91-90 the Phoenix lead with 2:06 to go.
Offense, yes, good call. Oliver Miller bagged into Avery Johnson, and he didn't have to do it. A rookie mistake there, and it's going to cost him the basketball.
And the 5th foul on Oliver Miller.
Well, here it is right here. See, he put that rear end into Avery Johnson, and too bad, not hockey. You can't check him like that, big Oliver.
That gives San Antonio with less than 2 to go a chance to take the lead. Oh, a little reverse action by Dale Ellis. It's 92-91 San Antonio.
One thing about Dale Ellis is he can score inside and outside.
Chambers left alone. Miller tries to follow with a slam, and Robinson's 19th rebound. Avery Johnson to Anderson, and the foul by Dumas.
See, Dick, when I talk about rookie, he made the first mistake and got the offensive foul. Then he turned around instead of Oliver Miller, instead of grabbing the offensive board, bringing it down, going back up and laying it in, he tried to tip dunk the basketball. And when the fourth quarter, the game is on the line, you got to come up with that basket and the basketball.
It's not time for personal highlights. That's the time to make sure you get that basket.
Exactly.
Well, Anderson makes it 93-91 with his 10th point. Quite a comeback by San Antonio. Remember, they were down 89-81. Westphal and John Lucas, 2 first-year coaches, and both deserving of having their name on that ballot for Coach of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
Chicago and New York, they're 2 of the top coaches, and many are favoring Pat Riley to win that honor. Game that we had so many for. Still, there'll be some intrigue as to how it will be played, and there is a matter of establishing a position of pride going into the playoffs. The Nets have had a solid year. Chuck Daly has them going into the playoffs, and will the Pistons be there? They'll have a chance.
Wow, they've been to the playoffs, I think, 10 straight years, and I know it'll be a big disappointment to Isaiah if they don't make it.
Suns down by 3, 1:15 to go. Marley Goes for the three. Wow, he hardly looked at the basket.
Wow, I say excellent play call by Coach Paul Westball. Set him up for a three-point shot. One of the best three-point shooters in the NBA, and they come up with the basket.
Less than a minute to go. Tied at 94.
And Dick, you can do that when you already won, 60 games already.
With 2 seconds, Robinson with 1. Johnson, it counts if it goes. Rebound. Danny Ainge. The Suns with 41 seconds. Marley hustles down court. He is fouled.
Well, you know what? He got caught in a situation where he really wanted to pass the ball because he saw David Robinson at the corner of his eye. But once the whistle sounded, he just went on and threw it up there. So he really wants to pass, but then he said, well, I heard the whistle. Got blocked shot by David Robinson, but he got fouled.
Willie Anderson with a foul. And Marley has Phoenix on top by 1. 39 seconds to go. 4 3-pointers for a young man from Traverse City, Michigan.
Homeboy from Michigan, yeah.
He used to compete in that Cherry Festival contest up there. 96-94. Oh, these Phoenix fans are loving every minute. Lucas's Spurs had them last Sunday, and they played well right down to the final second in Portland, but were defeated. They've rallied and now succumbed to a Phoenix charge. 96-94, time permitting. We'll go back to New York for showtime. Costas, Fratello, and Quinn Buckner there to wrap up this NBA day. Stay with us. And a timeout call by the Spurs. Couldn't find a way to inbound the ball. At 22nd, you saw the signal from John Lucas. Okay, what do you do here, Coach Johnson? You can still be coach of our NBC team. How do you play it for San Antonio? Quick shot or not?
No, you don't go for a quick shot. You go for a sure shot in terms of a good shot. Because even if you don't make it, you can always foul and send them to the free throw line. So what you should do is just try to come up, set maybe David Robinson or Dale Ellis up with a good shot. If they miss, whoever rebounds, you foul them. And then if they make both, still only down 4 points, so you can still come down and still have a chance to win the game.
Again, it's Anderson inbounding the ball. Robinson and Ellis are the leading scorers with 20 apiece for San Antonio. Robinson up high. And Avery Johnson left alone. Good play, gave a little hesitation.
Good pick by David Robinson, and it froze Oliver Miller because he didn't know whether to take Avery Johnson or to stay with David Robinson.
I gave it 96. 14 seconds. Ainge. Timeout with 12.6 seconds. Phoenix by 2.
Well, here's the pass right here from Oliver Miller, but credit Dumas for a good pick, and Danny Ainge just knocked it down, rather.
We'll be right back.
Right here, he's going to come up, set a back pick on Dumas, and able to free himself up. Both men take Dumas. Danny Ainge becomes free and knocks the shot down. That was good execution of offensive play.
Well, the Phoenix fans, as they have such high hopes in the upcoming playoffs, and one of the reasons is here's how they played well without Kevin Johnson, without Charles Barkley the second half. Barkley ejected, double technicals. Frank Johnson limited with injury. And their hopes are heightened because they played so well on the road. The Phoenix Suns have the best road record in the league, 27-13, and 12-2 against the East on the road. So they're not all that impressed West with the Eastern teams. Everyone talks New York and Chicago in the East, but out here in Phoenix, they say, just wait and see.
Well, the reason I'm impressed today is because they've executed well without both Barkley and Kevin Johnson. See, I wanted to see how they would react, and they have reacted well. Give Marley, Danny Ainge, the two veterans, credit for keeping this team together. And if they win this game, Dan Marley is definitely the MVP because he's knocked down some big three-point shots.
12.6 seconds, and Elliott. So Willie Anderson and a pushing foul on Sabalas. Well, that's an interesting call.
Well, the problem was he really didn't push him. What he did was Sabalas was coming out trailing Willie Anderson, and he put his hands. See, he really didn't push him. He just put his hands on his back, which threw Willie Anderson off balance, and that's the reason the foul was called.
Anderson is 3 for 3 from the line today. He's only had 21 free throws all season, came off the injured list back in late January.
And remember, Dick, they got that new rule in the NBA. You can't put two hands on any man's back anymore. It's a automatic foul.
And now Anderson, if he makes this, San Antonio down by 1. So Antoine Carr sent in by John Lucas. And if Phoenix gets either the rebound here or the free throw successful, we could expect an early foul. See Phoenix defending, and Kes Anderson purposely tries to miss it.
I think this might be a play already designed. So let's look to see if he's gonna miss it or try to miss it, or if he's gonna actually go for the make.
The officials had called a time, so that second free throw did not count.
Yeah.
Okay. 98-97 Phoenix. And Ainge is the man they foul. And Carr looks at the officials to say, after the way that you've been calling him today, I mean, I all but tackled him. Come on, give me the whistle.
Well, he wanted the foul a little quicker. He wanted them to call it quicker, and the referee just, I guess, a couple seconds had went off.
9.2 seconds left. Ainge at the line. He is the best free throw shooter on the Phoenix squad, 85.5%.
You know, when we started, I didn't think this was going to be a good game because I thought in my mind the players really didn't care about it. But they have proven me wrong today because both sides have played hard and they really cared about winning this game. So both coaches can be happy with whatever happens coming out of this game.
Ainge misses the second, and timeout called with 6.9 seconds. So San Antonio will be able to inbound at midcourt, down by 2. They don't have to think of Dale Ellis 3 now. They could work something inside to David Robinson would be the obvious, as timeouts now all have been used by San Antonio, and Phoenix still with 1.
I'm really wondering which way will he play this? Will he go for the win, or will he go for the tie? And I know if I was probably in this situation on the road, I would go for the win with me being the coach.
Even though as a former NBC employee, you'd know that would take it into overtime, a tie, and just mess up all those NBC affiliates all across the nation. You wouldn't even be considerate of the fact that takes time away from every NBC station and their news on a Saturday night. You wouldn't care?
No, because NBC would just talk about me if I got fired anyway. You know, they wouldn't care if I got fired. They wouldn't hire me back, would they?
Oh, I think they would.
So let's see what he decides to do here, Coach John Lucas. Because, you know, then again, you know that in terms of you getting ready for the playoffs, so maybe you design a play just to see if you can knock it down for a 3. You see, because it doesn't hurt you one way or another. So that's why it's going to be interesting to see how he plays this.
If San Antonio is not successful, it would be a rare win for Phoenix.
not scoring 100 points. They have 99 with a 2-point lead. Marley will be the man on Ellis. They'll stick him right on Ellis, the three-point shooter.
And the thing about it is, too, that both coaches should be pleased at the fact that this is like the NBA version of the 2-minute drill. And both teams have executed well, which they're going to have to do in the playoff in the last 2 minutes of the game.
This crowd of 19,000 plus rises as one. Just under 7 seconds, a lot of time. Great defense. Anderson. Robinson. Can't hit it. Phoenix wins. Well, that's a great warm-up for the playoffs ahead. Phoenix 99, San Antonio 97. Tomorrow an NBA doubleheader on NBC. The Knicks and the Bulls, followed by the Nets and the Pistons. 12:30 Eastern for NBA Showtime. This is Dick Enberg for Magic Johnson and Dan Hicks. Thanks for joining us. A presentation of NBC.